But this is our land. Come my brother, come my sister, and let us build a nation together. Every build a nation together. I say come, every build a nation together. Every build a nation together.
Come, come, I say come. Let we, the people, build a nation together. Grenada, Carriacou, and PT Martinique belong to all of us. We have a stake here, you know. We must make it better, not just for us, but for our children and children. I think that is our duty to our nation, our duty to our children and children. So let us build this place. I want to welcome you to the Dynamic Hour. I want to encourage those who are viewing via Facebook and YouTube, please share the live. Sharing is caring. When you do, you give your friends on your Facebook friend list or on your platform the opportunity to view, to be a part of the conversation. I want to start off in terms of the meat of this morning's conversation to say we have a visionary leader as Prime Minister of the state of Grenada, which includes Carriacou and PT Martinique. We have a very intelligent Prime Minister, one who has great knowledge of what transformation should look like. He has a good team, but he's leading from the front. And I say this because yesterday I listened to the debates in the parliament, and I heard from the opposition side, they're all agreeing with the bills and the statements made by our beloved Prime Minister. And what came to mind is how blessed we are as a people to have this gentleman, this intelligent individual occupying the office of Prime Minister. Because from time to time, your mind would kind of take you back to the period of Keatism, when Keith Mitchell was in power for 20-something years, and what we had compared to what we have now, and how different, how totally different it is. And it's not even comparable. It is not even, you shouldn't compare. It can't be compared. It's just different. Forward thinking, progressive, modern, visionary, focused. And I was moved because all of them, they were agreeing, but these bills could have been tabled donkey years ago. These things could have been done donkey years ago. Right? I heard our beloved Prime Minister speak about, in giving an update on roads and so on. And when he detailed what existed to what, is needed now, you wonder what the NMP was actually doing all the many years they were there. And I love when he said, look, we are in 2024. You have roads being constructed, right? And it was signed and agreed to by the NNP administration where one vehicle alone could pass. One vehicle, not two. You have roads being constructed, signed by the NNP administration, right? Where there is no sidewalks. And you have houses like crazy on both sides of the road. Look, there are a lot of problems that the NDC inherited, and it will take time for them to solve it. These things cannot be solved overnight. They cannot fix everything overnight. You hear him talk about the asphalt, and the roads and what is required. But I will play aspects of that for you this morning. The bill speaking to the license upgrade, because a lot of small and medium-sized businesses, even larger businesses, they are happy with that. And our young men and women, they want work. But the laws were restricting them, preventing them from getting that job and that opportunity. Now they have it. 5 years of experience on the road driving, you can upgrade your license to, I think, up to a D, right? I think up to a D. Of course, if you have to drive a bus with passengers and so on, you have to go through the whole process, right? To learn to drive that and so on, to get a license there, or some big truck, you have to go through the process. But he will explain momentarily. And then I will also play a piece speaking to the roads, because there are a lot of people who are clamoring and talking, but you have to understand what existed and what the NDC is trying to do. It will cost them millions and hundreds of millions of dollars to fix our roads. It will take quite a while. But before I play the two pieces, I want to say to you, May the 15th will mark 10 years since I have been on air doing this, serving you, volunteering my time and effort to do the two programs, right? I started off with the Eagle's Eye Talk Show. Many people who followed me over the many years can say that the name was changed, right? From the Eagle's Eye Talk Show to the Dynamic Hour. And I cut the amount of time, because it was 2 hours. When I started off, it was 2 hours, on air. But in talk radio business, 1 hour is enough. And you have people wanting more. And then the nightly program was politically speaking with Kem Jones, I think. Either politically speaking with Kem Jones or something like that, I think. Yeah. Or the People's Court. What was it? The People's Court. I think so, Even that, I forgot. But I know there are people out there who will remember. Yes, it was the People's Court, right? And after the victory, I changed the name. I rebranded the program to the nightly program being the Hub and the morning program being the Dynamic Hour. So over the 10 years, I actually made some changes, but it wasn't easy, right? And 10 years is a significant number. That's a decade, 10 years. So I will be celebrating 10 years in talk radio and podcasting, right? 10 years in talk radio and podcasting, because I went online, right? Facebook, YouTube. So we continue to expand. The next move, of course, will be the radio station. Getting that radio station. We are well on our way, right? So just saying to you, I must celebrate this milestone. there aren't plenty people in talk radio who been there for 10 years relying on people, relying on you to support, to financially keep this thing going. There are people in radio business and they work with some entity. And the entity, they have a marketing manager and they have a this and a that. And they go out and they get the ads and all the different things to keep the thing going, right? But I've been able to do this with your support, home and abroad, for almost 10 years. May. So we were in March, we're going into April, then May the 15th will mark 10 years. This is a significant milestone. As a result, I will be celebrating that 10 years on the 31st of May, Friday, the 31st of May, at the Trade Center. All right? So at the Trade Center, that is where we will be going to celebrate. And, there's a cost to these things. As a result, I will be, well, in fact, tickets are already available, right? $50. The cost of the ticket to enter, to be a part of this, is $50. Plenty foods will be on sale and drinks, but it's really an opportunity to celebrate, right? Celebrate the moment and also to thank the people who made this possible over the last 10 years. So even if you cannot come in person, you can buy a seat or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or 10 seats. It's $50. $50, right? $50, 50 EC. I look forward to having great many of you come and celebrate this moment. The venue, it's vast enough, it's big enough, right? The place is huge. So I want to encourage you. I have the tickets, they're $50. And you can buy it as of now, right? So if you are out there in the diaspora and you can't come in person, you can buy a couple, you can sponsor people, you can, or you can just buy it and I will put your name. Your name will be written, even if you want it abbreviation or abbreviated, or, you just want your full name there. We will create that space where you will be recognized for that. All right? So it's 50 EC. So you can buy as many as you want, right? Many tickets as a form of support. So the actual price of the ticket is $40, right? But the $10 is included there as a form of appreciation. It's like a gift you're given to your humble servant for the 10 years. So $1 for every year, $10. So it's $40 actually, in reality, for the ticket, $40. But the $10 attached to it is $1 for every year I have been on as an appreciation, right? As saying thanks, in other words, right? So again, it is important. And that $10, whatever the amount of tickets, it will go into a fund, a savings, not a fund, sorry, a savings for your humble servant. Because over the last 10 years, I have not been able to collect a salary from this program. So I couldn't pay NIS because I am not working. I have been volunteering my time and effort to do this program, not collecting a salary. So that is so important that I put that my savings. In fact, I was looking this morning and I just had to laugh because that is the kind of commitment I put into this. My savings is $12.76. All right. My savings is $12.76. Right. So that is my savings. So that whatever, if it's $5,000 I get from this in terms of the $10, if it's $10,000 or whatever the amount, that will go towards my savings. I will go directly there, whatever the amount. After 10 years of service, that should be really good. All right. So again, saying to you, the tickets, they're available. I already have them. All right. You can pick them up if you can't come in person. So maybe you're in Trinidad, maybe you're in New York, maybe you're in Canada, maybe you're in Boston, maybe you're in California, maybe you're in Texas, maybe you're in Florida, maybe you're in the United Kingdom, wherever you are, you can buy couple tickets. It's just 50 EC, 40 plus 10, right? You can buy couple tickets. And if you have family members, your friends, you want them to come, you can give them the tickets, or you don't have, otherwise to give other people the tickets. I will write your name there so we can have a list of names of people who sponsored, who buy couple tickets for that event. All right, so it's May the 31st, and I already have tickets. You can pick up your tickets. It's $50. It's a casual event. It's not a formal event. You have to go and buy some nice shirt and nice dress and pants, and no. It's a casual event. Your short pants and a short shoes, right? Skirt, dress, pants, jeans pants, whatever. It's a casual event. You come and celebrate with me, right? 10 years is a huge, huge milestone. This is no simple thing, right? This is 10 years. So it's a celebration. This has nothing to do with the main event. The main, the annual event that would be in July. I think the last Thursday in July, right? Remember, this is an annual event. That's the last big event towards the radio station. That's different. This 10th anniversary, this is a celebration of your humble servant on radio and, doing talk show and podcasting, serving you for the last 10 years, consistently so. We have been through tough times, good times, just name it. And people who have been on that journey with me, those who came on the journey as we, were going, I appreciate you and I thank you. So again, just saying to you, May the 15th will mark 10 years, but I'm not doing the event on the 15th. I'm doing it on the 31st. It's a Friday from 4 p.m. to 10 p.m. So it will be a kind of ceremony somewhat as part of it, and dance and celebration, free up moment, but there will be a kind of ceremony aspect of it. Good, at the Trade Center. So again, just saying to you, it is important. If you can't make it in person, buy a couple tickets. It's $50. And again, the ticket itself is $40, but the $10 there is towards, as a contribution, $1 for every year as a contribution for the 10 years of service, volunteering my time and effort to serving you. All right? So I look forward to you buying up the tickets. I have them. I have tickets already. I look forward to the constituencies also making an extra effort to get a couple tickets sold and mobilized and organized to come down there at the Trade Center to be a part of this big moment. 10 years to celebrate it, right? There were people who started the journey and they just, disappeared. It's not easy to be in talk radio 10 years when Keith Mitchell was in power for the greater part of that. And a lot of people were afraid to take on that monster, in my belief. And I call him a monster there because I think that's the kind of characteristic he displayed over the many years. I'm telling you. Yeah, so the dress code, it's casual. It's not formal. It's not a formal event, right? So Alicia Brown, they're asking, what's the dress code? It's not formal. It's a casual event, right? Casual wear. No formal thing. And you come from work, in fact, because it's a Friday. Straight from work, you can come to the event. All right? Straight from work, you can come to the event. So again, yes, Joanne, I'll put it on the page and my Facebook page and other things like that. But for now, I am on air, just saying, telling you about the event. So it's confirmed. You know, I made payments at the place. So once you get that, then the tickets already prepared. So I have the tickets. You can actually start buying the tickets. All right? Buying it's $50, 50 EC. EC, 50 EC for the tickets, 50 EC. So again, saying to you, it's 50 EC. All right? So just encouraging you, buy up some of the tickets. If you're not able to come, buy a couple of tickets as a form of support, right? For the 10 years. Boy, just think about it. If I was not around for the last 10 years, what would have happened? Huh? Just sitting and thinking about the thing, boy. Every man has a role in this life, and you have to play it well. All right? You have to know your calling. You have to know your what contribution you can make towards betterment of your country. And I think I played that role well for the last 10 years. It wasn't easy. You understand? Yeah. So again, just letting you know that. It's important that I tell you that from the get-go. I have the tickets, and I hope you can buy a couple of them. Even if you can't make it, just buy 10 as a form of sponsor. Buy 5, sponsoring, right? Saying, Kem, yes, I would not be there, but I want to buy 5 tickets. I'm going to write your name on that table, on that chair, on that area. Sponsorship, right? Sponsoring 5 tickets, 10 tickets, 20, whatever the amount. And we have 2 months to do so. We have April and we have May. But the tickets, they're all ready. And it normally goes fast. So once it finishes, then because there's a certain capacity. So I want to encourage you to do that. All right? So let me now feature our beloved Prime Minister there. It's so important that you hear firstly about the roads and then the tickets. The license upgrade. Maybe we could start with the license upgrade. All right? The license upgrade first. And then we'll go to the other one.
Mr. Speaker, the aim of the bill is pretty straightforward and simple, Mr. Speaker. And I think it's in keeping with the comment by the Honourable Member for St. Andrews Southeast of the need to, in fact, encourage and support our contractors or citizens to engage in commerce, to engage in business, and to help to empower them. So it's in 2 parts, Mr. Speaker. One, it addresses the opportunity for persons who hold, in effect, a B class, a C class, or C1 class license to be able to upgrade their license without sitting an exam by moving from B to D class, or from C to D class, or from C1 to D class, if they have driven for more than 5 years in that particular class, and if they deem medically fit to continue driving. So in very layman terms, this is what it's seeking to do. Now the B, the C, the C1 and the D class licenses, Mr. Speaker, obviously associated with the type of vehicle that one is permitted to drive. So in particular, if you have a B class, I guess in ordinary terms, you'd be driving a regular private vehicle. If you have a C and a C1 class, you'd be driving a different type of vehicle. And if you have a D, you'd be driving a different type of vehicle. The main aim, Mr. Speaker, is to get persons in the B or C or C1 to be able to move to a D class license. It is not meant to allow a person who has a B license to automatically get a C license, or if you have a C license to automatically get a C1 license. you would still have to go through the normal process there. It is merely meant to allow someone who has a B license to get a D license, someone who has a C license to get a D license, or someone who has a C1 license to get a D license. So that's the first point I want to emphasize, Mr. Speaker. And again, second, as I said, you will have to be driving for 5 years in a particular class. And then you have to have, and I think the Royal Grenadier Police Force was keen on that, confirmation that you are medically fit, obviously, to continue driving. And the question is, why are we seeking to have this? Mr. Speaker, we've had significant requests from persons, particularly small business owners and so on, who are faced with a situation where someone who has a D-class license essentially can't drive a pickup truck. And Mr. Speaker, and to a large extent, that's what the D-class license is. I'm saying by description of vehicle a pickup truck, but the proper description based on the Road Traffic Act will say a vehicle that is 7,000 kgs and under. But when you say 7,000 kgs and under, to the average person, it's not actually giving them a sense of what the vehicle is. So it's really the pickup trucks. And so, Mr. Speaker, what we find is a situation where, small business owners who are electricians, or plumbers, or farmers, find themselves where the employees have a private B-class license. They can drive a car, they can drive an SUV, but they can't drive the pickup to drop them in or to drop the equipment. And in many instances, the owner himself oftentimes has to be the driver, which takes away from his ability to actually do his own management of the work. And so oftentimes what you find is that the owner or the manager's time, or the person with the D-class license, has to find himself driving the pickup to drop persons who actually can drive and who've been driving for more than 5 or 10 years, but they don't have the D-class license. And so really, Mr. Speaker, it is aimed at significantly addressing that challenge that many of our small businesses face from the fact that many of the employees would have to leave and go get a test to essentially drive the same vehicle. Because a pickup is essentially an SUV with the back uncovered. Right? So there's no real significant challenge in terms of the size of the vehicle. And so you have the anomaly where I think C and C1 class licenses perhaps one could even argue that you're even more skilled if you already have a C or C1 class license, and yet still you can't get a D class license. So the aim, Mr. Speaker, is really to ensure that these categories of persons have the option to have their licenses endorsed with a D1 class, with a D class license that allows them to be able to drive the D class. The other issue, Mr. Speaker, is that in order to drive a D class, the law currently says you must be 25 years old. Which, again, one of the challenges about youth unemployment is that oftentimes we create the barriers by our policies and our laws that actually creates youth unemployment. So why shouldn't a 24-year-old be able to drive a pickup? If he's a young farmer, if he's a plumber, an electrician, if we sent him to New Low and he's learned his craft, he's gotten a job, he's built himself up. I mean, you can't be an electrician without really having a pickup or some sort of minibus, or how are you going to carry the trunking, the this, the that, etc. So the challenge here, Mr. Speaker, is to ensure we give young persons the opportunity to be able to get a D-class license. Specifically, I want to emphasize again, it's D-class license, so we are not applying this to, for example, passenger bus, public service vehicles, because obviously you are dealing with increased risk in driving a public bus because you are dealing with passengers, you are dealing with 16, 17, 18 persons, and we need to make sure that persons who are issued bus licenses in particular are well trained, well equipped, well skilled to be able to make sure that happens. So, Mr. Speaker, that's really in layman's terms the objectives of the amendment, to allow for an SRO to be passed, effectively give effect to those things. There are things we will have to work on as part of ensuring that can happen. We obviously will have to speak with the insurance industry, because obviously that's one major stakeholder, because you appreciate that oftentimes insurance policies have restrictions on who can and who can't drive vehicles, the age at which they can and cannot drive, and so on. And so part of there's always a chicken and egg situation. What moves first? Should the law move first, or should we encourage insurance to move? But I have knowing insurance and their aversion to risk, if the law doesn't move, Mr. Speaker, they are not going to they're not going to move, right? So again, this is aimed at ensuring that our young people, that the youth economy has an opportunity to be able to drive D-class vehicles before they're 25. And Mr. Speaker, again, it's also to show confidence, young people that they can be responsible if given the opportunity to be responsible. So those are really, Mr. Speaker, the underlying rationale for seeking the amendment and bringing the legislation to Parliament. And as part of this as well, Mr. Speaker, one of the curiosities we observed when going through the legislation was the fact that there's actually no age restriction. We thought there was, but on further scrutiny we realized there isn't. That there's no age restriction on driving heavy vehicles. In other words, heavy specialized vehicles like a tractor or an excavator. But there's an age restriction on driving a pickup. So it may have been an oversight. And so one of the things, and so the intention initially, Mr. Speaker, was that we would have had to have an amendment to address the excavators and so on, but that's not necessary. It's only the D-class. And so, Mr. Speaker, one of the things we certainly will seek to do as well is to encourage and ensure that we can have some training programs with the heavy equipment operators and owners that will give young people the opportunity to be trained specifically in the operation of those things, from forklifts to excavators to tractors, etc. Because those skill sets are needed. And I also want to specifically say, Mr. Speaker, targeting women as well, right? Because traditionally you would not have seen women driving public service vehicles, buses, etc. There's a lot more of that. There really is no reason why. And I don't know that men are better or more skilled drivers than women. Men may make their comments when they see a woman on the road, but I'm sure the insurance companies will tell you that there are far less accidents where the drivers are women compared to men. And I see a few women nodding. So the truth, Mr. Speaker, is even for the heavy equipment operations and so on, in terms of the training, we'll also be specifically targeting women as well, because the statistics are also still showing that on a gender basis, that unemployment is still higher amongst women than it is amongst men. So, Mr. Speaker, those are my comments in support of the bill. Thank you.
Right. So that was our beloved Prime Minister, the most honorable Deacon Mitchell there, speaking about, the license upgrade. And that's a really good thing, because really and truly, there are people who could drive these vehicles, or they're driving it every day. It's just that they don't have the open back, so to speak, right? And so many small business owners and entrepreneurs and so on, it's difficult, it's tough for them. But now they will be able to just go after 5 years on the road with the experience and so on, to just get their license legitimately, upgraded and so on. And I really love that. That's a good move. The opposition agreed, but they could have done that too, but they didn't do that. See, they don't have the vision. It took the most honorable Deacon Mitchell with the vision to do that. Let's look at the roads now, because so many people are kind of interested in that, the upgrades and so on of our roads.
Disasters. Now, Mr. Speaker, as I said, this administration inherited a Ministry of Infrastructure with very little capacity to do anything on its own. So I'll give an example. Mr. Speaker, right now, the way in which the road crews repair the roads, to a large extent, they have no control over it. What happens now, Mr. Speaker, is that they wait for when hot mix is available from the CCC quarry. It is unpredictable. It is not planned. And the road crews are literally at the mercy of that quarry. So what happens, Mr. Speaker, is that the crews literally wait. And then they get a call and they're told a truck of asphalt is available. A truck. And invariably you have 12 or so crews scattered around the island. And they have to make do with that one truck. So when you see them on a Saturday or on a Sunday, repairing the road, Mr. Speaker, and oftentimes people may complain about the limited amount of work they do, that's because that's the amount of asphalt they have. That's one. Two, they do not have the right equipment, Mr. Speaker. So invariably, what you see is the truck with the asphalt, a roller, the drums with the bitumen, and the traditional brooms or other things that they use to put the tar and some sand. They don't have cutters to cut the road, Mr. Speaker, to remove the asphalt that is already weakened, to escape it, to roll and relay the foundation, and then to redo the asphalt. So what has happened, Mr. Speaker, over several years, and unfortunately still happening, is that invariably we take asphalt and we just dump it on top of the asphalt and then we roll it. And so the roads oftentimes get higher and higher and higher. And that is because we have not provided them with the proper equipment, Mr. Speaker, that is required to address the situation. And all of the tools are rented. All of the tools are rented. From the small handheld tools to the heavy tools, to the excavators, to the tractors, etc., to the rollers. So rollers are rented, Mr. Speaker, per day. And they're used for half an hour. Because the amount of asphalt you have is quite limited. And you only need the rollers when the asphalt is down. But you have to pay a day rate. But you're not using the roller for a day. We can drive all around Grenada and see them packed up, waiting for work, because there is no work. So, Mr. Speaker, we have to now procure equipment, and build a system that allows us to properly maintain the roads. And oftentimes the roads deteriorate. And we can take a good example. Let's say the Calibini Main Road. If you drive on it now, you see the signs that tells you the road needs to be maintained. You see the sign that tells you, there's some recurring potholes that says this needs to be cut, the foundation needs to be addressed, and then the asphalt needs to be relaid. But when you don't have the machine to cut the asphalt, Mr. Speaker, what happens is that the crew simply fills the hole up and rolls it. But the underlying condition has not been addressed, so when the rain comes, it will happen again. So, Mr. Speaker, we are in the process of devising a system that will allow us, first of all, to increase our capacity to obtain asphalt, so that the crews that maintain our road, in fact, have the materials they need to deploy to engage in more extensive repairs and maintenance of our roads. We have procured bitumen from Trinidad and Tobago in partnership with the Chinese who are at the airport currently, Mr. Speaker, who have a large asphalt plant. We supplied the bitumen. We have procured many of the aggregates. We have procured the warmer. We are going through the testing phase. And so we expect, once the appropriate tests are conducted in terms of the asphalt mix and quality, that our crews will therefore have access to a lot more asphalt in more predictable quantities, so that we can engage in more extensive road repair throughout the trial and state of East Martin Carrick-Run. Mr. Speaker, currently only one entity can supply asphalt on the island. And I've just said that entity is not able to meet the demands for all kinds of varying reasons of the state. And so we are in discussions, Mr. Speaker, to see whether we can encourage other members of the private sector to engage in particularly the business of having an asphalt plant that can ensure that we have alternative supplies for the supply of asphalt in Grenada, so that we can engage in the road maintenance. Mr. Speaker, as you would also be aware, many times the public expects the government to be able to respond and respond within a certain time, particularly when you have natural disasters, particularly when you have community initiatives where small roads and so on are required to be opened and so on. And when you don't have any equipment at all, Mr. Speaker, it basically means you're again at the mercy of third parties who we have to wait on. Particularly when it comes to community initiatives and community development, Mr. Speaker, we can't allow this to continue. And so we are certainly going to be looking at procuring in small quantities as appropriate equipment that would allow the ministries, particularly social and community development and so on, to be able to respond to the needs of the communities when it comes to opening small roads, clearing areas that are blocked, dealing with fallen trees, etc., so that assisting our farmers on some of the farm roads and so on, so that they have the necessary equipment that is required to allow us to respond quicker on those issues. Mr. Speaker, as you are aware, I will just simply wrap up on three matters, Mr. Speaker. One, work on the Molina Road is continuing. We expect the work to complete by the last quarter of 2024. However, all things being equal, the contractor has given a commitment that they will certainly seek to try and accelerate as much as they can the work to see whether or not it is possible to have the road available and open in August or September of this year. But contractually, the obligation is for December. Thus far, we've been blessed with relatively good weather for the first quarter of 2024. And if that holds, we expect that the work will conclude in the last quarter of 2024, and the main artery to the Western Road will then become open. Of course, the situation continues to pose a challenge for commuters on the West Coast who are required to either go through the bypass road of Monkuma or the Montmoritz Road, both of which are considerably longer, and in the case of the Montmoritz Road, considerably more difficult, given the fact that the width of the road was not meant to accommodate really two-way traffic on any significant numbers. That has affected commuters in particular, members of the public, who are required to get bus transportation to get to Sotels, St. John and St. Mark in particular. So, Mr. Speaker, we are quite eager and keen to make sure that the work on this road is completed. The second major artery that work will commence on shortly, Mr. Speaker, is the Cliff to Woburn Road. In fact, the original intent was to stop vehicle access to that area starting this Monday. But in light of the long Easter weekend that is upon us, Mr. Speaker, as well as the Perth Games, we've taken the decision to allow access to the road to remain until after the Easter weekend. And we expect that preliminary works for the commencement of major renovation of that piece of road to therefore commence in earnest immediately after the end of the Easter period. Mr. Speaker, I will provide more details at the next sitting of the House of Parliament on this issue. But we suffice it to say, Mr. Speaker, that the original designs which we inherited from the past administration was not adequate. It was simply seeking to reconstruct the retaining walls and repave the road. Now, Mr. Speaker, if you know that road, in its current state, there are areas where two vehicles cannot pass without one stopping. So there are some parts of the road that are quite narrow, less than 6 meters. And so, Mr. Speaker, we have to go back to the designers best done, the consultants, and indicate to them in 2023, 2024, you can't be designing a road where two vehicles can't pass. You can't be designing a road that is in a heavy pedestrian area with houses both at the bottom and the top, and there's no sidewalk. So, Mr. Speaker, we asked the consultants to go back to the drawing board, to widen the road, particularly in areas where it is quite narrow, because we are coming from three main arteries. We are coming from Springs Main Road, we are coming from the Woodlands Main Road, actually four. We are coming from the Woburn Main Road, we are coming from the Calavini Main Road, we are coming from the Mungill Main Road. That's actually 5. And you're all getting into this narrow bottleneck with hairpin corners, narrow cliffs on the side, retaining walls at the bottom. So what the construction will do, Mr. Speaker, is to widen the roads by cutting into the cliffs, straightening the road so that the line of sight is improved, the construction of sidewalks so that our citizens can walk on the pavement without the risk of being run over by these large trucks and trailers that are heading up the East Coast, all the way to St. Patrick and St. David's for hotel and so on development, and to assure that there's improved safety for pedestrians along that area. We are expecting, Mr. Speaker, that the work once commenced should conclude in about 8 to 10 months, because while there are some significant corners, the road itself is not very long, and we're also fortunate that there are significant alternative routes. So, for example, the Woburn Main Road. So we will ask the public, Mr. Speaker, to bear with us and to respect the no entry signs once they go up, to allow the contractors the ability to work as efficiently and effectively as possible. I mean, obviously, the residents will have access, But for the remainder of the public, the Oban Public Road does allow you a sufficient detour. You also have the Manjulu Marian road that comes back to White Gun as a sufficient detour. And so we'd ask persons, please, to assist us by ensuring that they allow the contractors to work peacefully. Mr. Speaker, once we are able to procure the asphalt in the quantities that we think we will be able to by working collectively with the Chinese and others who are able to give us alternative supplies of asphalt, there are other roads we would be looking to tackle. The Member of Parliament for the south of the island will be pleased to hear that we intend to tackle the True Blue Main Road. That's a road, Mr. Speaker, since the time of Sir Eric Matthew Geary has been built and to a large extent ignored since then. Not only does the road lead to St. George's University, and I don't need to speak about the significance, economic and symbolic of St. George's University and the hundreds of Grenadians who work at that institution. But, Mr. Speaker, we will tackle the road. There are many other parts of Grenada which has been neglected and not maintained, and we will tackle them as well. There's an area called Mabuya in St. John. Mr. Speaker, for all of my adult life, this road has been abandoned. Persons going to Guav were made to go through Mount Granby, Mount Nesmith, exit onto the Douglaston Main Road, and then get to Guav. In recent times, the road was opened, having not been attended to and not been fixed for decades. Mr. Speaker, we will tackle that stretch of the Mabuya Road and have it repaired.
Right. So again, that's some good news there from the Most Honorable Deacon Mitchell, and we look forward to that in the coming months and years. Folks, that's all the time we have. I want to thank you very much for being a part of the program this morning. I will be back with you tonight in the hub starting from 8